Well, like it or not, we are all aging. In fact, baby boomers are turning 65 at a rate of about 8,000 a day. This has many homeowners reaching retirement age facing the quandary of whether to stay put or downsize for the next phase of their lives. Andy Prasky from RE/MAX Advantage is here to share some of the pros and cons of each and to tell us about some of the most common mistakes boomers and empty nesters make when deciding. It's good to have you here today.
Well, thank you.
It's a big conversation to have, and a lot of us are very attached to the real estate that we've been in. Let's start the conversation. A lot of people think that it's downsizing,
Right.
and it's a bad thing. Explain how you approach it with
Well, I think
clients.
there's a lot of emotions that go into someone entering their retirement phase of life, and I see a lot of my 65 plus crowd actually heading towards what I call rightsizing, where they're not necessarily just downsizing the size of the home that they live in, but they're getting closer to the activities that they enjoy. They're maybe moving downtown, getting closer to theater. They're going to the lake and actually trading the desk for the fishing pole.
As you weigh pros and cons, Andy, there's a right way to go about this, and you say begin with crunching the numbers.
Yeah, we're not as young as we used to be. So as we're starting to get ready to downsize or right-size the home, we have to take into consideration we're going to be moving. We're going to have moving expenses. We're going to have, maybe the potential of having 4,000 square feet going into 1,500 square feet. So what do we do with the extra items? Do we, put them into storage or do we sell them?
Consider your lifestyle. You mentioned and you touched on living in an urban area. You're near a lot of things,
Yeah.
cultural things and restaurants and that kind of stuff.
I tell you, it's a great thing. I see more seniors, I call them go-go's, because they're always on the move. They're selling the big home, they're moving downtown, buying the condo, or maybe they buy the RV. And they're not sitting still like they used to. They're still working, they're buying cars. And we as real estate agents have had to change our way of doing business with them, because it used to be hey, this is the last move. And now sometimes there's several moves in their senior years.
Take family into account.
Yeah, getting closer to the grandkids is probably the most popular, but some people also want to get the economics of it under control and save some money. So they save money by moving in with the family, or we're seeing multi-generation housing is becoming a huge thing right now in new construction. Where you have mom and dad living with the family, or the family living with mom and dad.
Gives you an opportunity to simplify your stuff as you eliminate some things as well.
Absolutely. Simplify your life is kind of the key that they're all looking at.
All right, what's the big pitfall? What do you see as a common mistake people make?
We still see equity challenge, people that are still, as prices are starting to come back, or maybe the sale price isn't what they thought it was going to be, so they had a budget in mind and they haven't been able to accomplish that, to do the things they want to do on the other side of the move. So that's probably the biggest pitfalls we see.
Most of us, the goal is to get a place paid for, have absolutely no mortgage, be free and clear, have the only concern to be, paying the property taxes and the maintenance on it. Does it make sense sometimes, if you're sitting on a ton of equity, to sell out of that and then go rebuy another place and have a mortgage?
That's a personal decision that has to be made by the individual. If you're in a position where your lifestyle has changed, like your mobility is different now than it was a few years ago, you may have the opportunity to invest into something that's handicapped accessible, or that's one level living. On the other hand, you may have somebody that's in a position of where they just want to go to that, again, the lifestyle thing is probably more predominant than anything else right now.
Well, and another thing is consideration, especially for older people, is leasing, renting is also another option that you can do.
I think it's a great option, because they get into something that's smaller, they get used to the size before
And not
they
locked.
commit.
Andy, great to have you here today. Give you information. You can find Andy's tips at care11.com. Look under the shows tab and the news at 4.